Witch Watch is finally here, easily one of my most anticipated shows of the spring 2025 anime season. It had everything going for it. The original creator worked on Astro Lost in Space, and I absolutely love that series. The PBs that were coming out for it looked like a lot of fun, just laugh out loud moments. The whole concept behind it being this witch who makes this guy her familiar, which, my gosh, I haven't seen that since, I don't know what, Familiar Zero? It's been a long time since we've had a show about, yes, a guy being made into a familiar. Everything was going for it. It looked like a lot of fun, laugh out loud moments, and just wholesome, just through and through wholesome. And I got quite a bit of all of that, except for one aspect. It wasn't as funny as I thought it would be. Based on the first 2 episodes, it just really hasn't had a moment where it really just had me laughing out loud. As per usual, comedy is subjective, but I was kind of expecting a little bit more. But anyhow, I watched the first 2 episodes of it, and this is my thoughts on it so far. Witch Watch opens up with a guy named Morihito, and he's from a bloodline of Oni. And at some point, his father sits him down and tells him, hey, remember Nico from your childhood? Yeah, that witch? Yeah, she went off to do her training. Well, she's coming back. And she decided that she wants you to be her familiar. Yes, the status quo typically is that a witch would get an animal as a familiar, but at some point in the past, the familiars they had would slowly evolve due to the mana they were receiving, and they would actually become humanoid. And then those humanoids would eventually have children, and that's where you got Oni from. But yes, she selected him to become a familiar, and he's like, wait, no, that's so dated. People don't become people's familiars. The father's like, yeah, I would totally like to do it. I would all be for being a high school witch's familiar manservant. But I'm busy. I have a business trip to go to. And she's going to make you familiar. Make sure to protect her. That's your job. That's the job of familiar, is more so to be the bodyguard of the witch. So anyhow, the father leaves, and eventually Nico shows up to his house, crashes through his window. Immediately he's like, I was expecting this. I thought that she might have grown up, but this girl is nothing but trouble for me. She's always been trouble for me in the past, and it took her 0 seconds before she caused trouble for me now. What we've ended up finding out very quickly is that Nico has always had a massive crush on Morihito, or as she calls him, Moi. She's always had a massive crush on him, and so living with him is just a dream come true for her. She's expecting them to have doki doki moments. They're probably going to do different things when they're living together, all this kind of stuff. But unfortunately, on Moi's side, he's just like, no, this girl's going to cause nothing but trouble. Nico, now having been trained in magic, is very quick to want to show it off to him. Show him the fruits of her labor. And every time she ends up using magic, she causes some sort of trouble. Yes, very quickly, she wants to fix the window that they just broke, and so she needs some sort of medium. He gives her like this cup that's like very precious to him, and ends up shattering the cup in order to fix the window. She makes herself super flat and just gets taken off by the wind, and he has to chase her down and then crush this entire wall just to get her out safely. But still, even all this, he does seem to acknowledge the fact that, yes, magic is pretty amazing and she does some pretty cool stuff with it. But it all kind of poses the big question of what to do going forward. Now she's going to be living with him, he's going to have to protect her, and apparently Nico's mother, this oracle, has actually looked into the future to find out that there's disaster coming for Nico. In 1 year, some sort of disaster is going to come, and that Morihito has to protect her. This sort of poses a problem for them, because on one hand, witches are typically supposed to show their magic. They're supposed to help other people, and that sort of helps them form their ability to stabilize their magic. There's an ironclad rule that witches have to help others. If they don't, and they hide their magic, eventually they will turn to dark magic. On the opposite end, Morihito just wants to keep her hidden. Don't tell anybody that you can use magic. And this kind of carries over when they go to school. He's telling her, don't use your magic. We don't need people knowing that you can use magic. Well, unfortunately, because she can't help herself but try to show off to Morihito, eventually, yes, it comes to public that she is a witch. And it turns this whole thing where, yes, Morihito's afraid that nobody's going to want to confront her ever again because she's a witch, but very quickly, she gains a lot of friends. Everybody wants her to use her magic. She shows off her magic to them, altering gravity, helping them all fly, being able to share something with other people. She's always had this sense that, yes, she was born as a witch and she could always fly and stuff like that. And so it's nice that she can share that with other people. But Morihito has more of a trauma in the idea that when he was young, yes, his fact that he was an Oni and the fact that he was especially strong was something that sort of isolated him. Yes, all of his friends ended up leaving him because their parents were afraid of him. And yes, he's had times in the past where he tried to protect people like Nico and ended up hurting people. So he doesn't find his strength to be a blessing. He just finds it to be a curse, and thus he tries to keep it hidden, and yes, never use his strength in order to fight back against anybody. But yes, once it gets revealed to everybody, his classmates are very welcoming of it. And they're like, you believe me? Oh yeah, we just got done finding out that our classmate is a witch. We just got done trying out flying for the first time. This is not a shock to us. And that's basically the gist so far. 2 childhood friends coming back together, and yes, having to deal with all the magics that this girl uses and how it always ends up blowing up in their faces. So my thoughts on Witch Watch so far. Like I said before, this show is just really charming. It's just a super cute show about, this girl that is, finding herself back into the presence of her childhood friend, this guy that she just so massively doki dokis. He's just so charming. He's got that hunky look to him, and so every time he does something or says something nice, she just flutters. And she always has these like inner dialogues where it almost looks like she's in a talk show where they're asking about their relationship, and she's just going off on some tangent about how something's gonna happen. Yeah, something could happen between us in this house, or man, yeah, maybe he might sweep me off my feet. And it's always just in her head. At some point, Morihito says something and it pops her back out of it. Like, this girl is just absolutely lost in this own fairy tale that she has in her head about how this relationship's going to go. On the opposite end, Morihito has zero interest in her, and he's always just thinking about how he wants to protect her or how she's going to be accepted by other people. He's super happy whenever she does get friends. He's like wanting to protect that. So if you had some group of thugs that are trying to get in the way of Nico hanging out with her friends, he ain't letting it happen. He's going to put a quick end to it. There is a lot of charm to the two of them and their relationship to each other. I just absolutely get a kick out of it. It's super cute too. And Nico herself is just, I love her. She is just a bundle of fun. She's got that great attitude to her. She's always trying to show off her magic, even though it always blows up in her face. She does have some moments where she does realize that, yeah, I'm just causing problems. And he'll sort of reassure her some way by saying that, yeah, magic's actually pretty incredible. And so it kind of boosts her back up and she'll end up doing something stupid again. Like, all of his misfortune that he's getting from her magic it's his own fault because he just keeps letting it happen, keeps kind of reassuring her that it's cool and amazing. There's a lot of fun moments like that so far with the first 2 episodes that I'm really getting a kick out of. But yeah, my biggest problem that I've had with the show so far is it's not really funny. That's my biggest problem. Yeah, it's like I said, comedy subjective. Some people might watch this show and just find it to be laugh out loud comedy, but so far, nothing really has really hit me really good. I think the only moment that I really enjoyed was the whole moment where they were trying to save the lady from the burning building, and she uses her light magic, and the light magic not only makes them lighter, but it also makes them more lighthearted. So yes, they're on the broomstick, they get 3 people on it, and suddenly it's too heavy. And so he's like, use the light magic on me. Uses on him, and suddenly he's just being super goofy and super lighthearted about the situation. And then they're going to go crash again. So she uses on herself so that she becomes lighthearted. And so suddenly, I don't know where this lady's going, wait, what just happened? How did you save me? Why were you on a broomstick? And then they're just being goofy about it because, again, they're lighthearted. And then it cuts forward to when they find out that there's a side effect to the lightness of it, that afterwards it makes it really heavy. So suddenly they're like super heavy and depressed. So they're having this conversation on this couch where they're just trauma dumping on each other about the situation. It's just like a super heavy situation. They even have like this little mid card later on that shows that he went to make a blog where he can just dump all of his trauma onto it. And thankfully he snapped out of it before he posted or something like that. That whole bit right there was a lot of fun. But outside of that, it's not like I've had like a moment where it just really hit me. And I think that's mostly because a lot of the comedy so far has been very surface level. There's a lot of slapstick comedy in there. There's a lot of stuff that just kind of, there's the punchline, and then it tries to kind of explain the punchline a little bit afterwards, where you kind of just want to tell the writer, just let it set. Just let the joke just happen and just move on. You don't have to really get into it. I think the worst part was really that whole segment in the end of the 2nd episode where she lets everybody experience flying. And it goes in this long explanation and narration about how every single person's personality comes through with the flight. These people do this, these people do this, these people do this. And it's one of those moments of going, you don't have to explain the joke. Just let it happen. We get that these guys right here are trying to act like Dragon Ball Z characters and fly around like Dragon Ball Z characters. You don't have to explain it. Oh, this guy wants to be a hipster and doesn't want to get involved, and now he's getting involved. You don't have to explain it. Just let us see it happen, and that's fine. It's a little bit too much explanation and not enough letting the joke actually sit and just move on. And that's where it kind of just falls short for me. My only real hope for the comedy itself, because everything else will still carry the show. Like, even if I'm not laughing out loud with the comedy itself, I'm still carried by the fact that Nico's just super cute. I love her reactions around Morihito, and I like that little bit of rom-com doki doki love there that kind of always blows up in her face. But I'm hoping that eventually, once the other cast members come into the picture, hopefully the chemistry will kind of kick up a bit. I'm assuming, based on the fact that we have an Oni, we have a witch, that will probably get other people of supernatural elements or whatever kind of added to the mix. And maybe when we add those people to the picture, hopefully it'll kind of add a little bit more flavor to it. It just needs a little bit more dynamics to the comedy routine than it just being girl that really wants to show off by using her magic and the guy that doesn't want it to happen. That's really what we have so far. And I'm sure that more stuff added to it will kind of spice it up a bit. But yes, like I said, everything else is working for it. I really do like the charm of the characters. I like getting into their backstories. I like that hesitation that Morihito has, that fear that he has to use his strength, even though he has a lot of strength. There's a lot of trauma in there where he wanted to use his strength to protect others, but then it just kind of hurt other people and ended up turning into a whole thing where what's the point in having strength if you can't use it? What's the point in having this and being an Oni when all it does is cause problems? His hesitation is very interesting, counter to, again, Nico, who's always enjoyed using her magic, but she had nobody to share it with. So two people that sort of see their power differently coming together and kind of working together to express it in their own way. I like how they've kind of portrayed that stuff so far. And yes, visually, it looks great. Bibury Animation Studio is doing a really good job. There's only like a shot here or there where it's like, okay, is that Morihito standing there? He looks a little different. But like Nico, they're doing a great job with her character. She looks super cute. And as I've seen with the PVs, it looks like it's going to keep solid to the animation style. It's running for 2 cores, so it's got a lot of episodes to work with. I'm hoping that it builds into something interesting. I'm not sure if they're going to get to the foreseen calamity or not. Typically with these rom-com series, it doesn't, because that's usually like 50th volume. But we'll see. We'll see. But so far, it's been working out really well. Yoasobi's intro was really fantastic. The animation in the OP was phenomenal. I think that some people said that the One Piece OVA, the director for that, worked on it. It makes sense because it looks beautiful, but I absolutely love the intro. It looks fantastic. The music's really fantastic as well. But yeah, so far, it's up there. It's up there for me. I'm still excited for it, even though it's not, a 10 out of 10 for me right off the get-go, like I was hoping for. It's still got plenty to work with, and I'm looking forward to more. But anyhow, that's my thoughts on Witch Watch so far. Hope you guys enjoyed my video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below, comment. Let me know what you think of the series so far if you're going to be checking it out. If you're new here, subscribe before you leave so you can get all my content. I'll be doing first impressions of all the shows of the season, so definitely stick around. If you like this content and you want to support channel more, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it. Until next time, you'll take care.